This is Frugal Mom of Many back to give you a review of Fix-It Grammar from Institute for Excellence in Writing. And we just started using it for the first time this year, and we are using it for a first grader, not my first grader, for a third grader, a fifth grader, and a sixth grader. And we all use the same curriculum, which is really nice. It saves time. I love that this book, you buy the teacher's manual, and with that comes a code inside that you can go to the IEW.com website, and you get to download for free the student manual that you can print out then yourself, and you can print it for as many children as you have. If they ask that you not share it with other people, and they just trust you on your honor to do that. And yeah, so I can use it for all 8 of my children, or however many children I end up having. So it's very economical. I love that about it. We had been using Becca as well as Growing with Grammar, and I like both of those grammar programs, so I have no complaint about them. We just wanted something like this. I really liked the idea that I could buy it once and I'm done, as well as something that would maybe save us a little bit of time in our day. My boys would cry a lot about diagramming, and because I grew up diagramming, I kind of thought, well, you have to diagram. But the more I've thought about it, I don't see why you have to. As long as you are understanding the parts of speech, when to use them, the words that they modify, I guess I just ask myself, what's the point? Have you ever used diagramming, or has it helped you in your speech since you were in school? Probably not. So they don't do diagramming in here, and that doesn't bother me. So yeah, that's some of the reasons why we switched, and we are really loving it. My I keep forgetting, he's 5th. My 5th and 6th grader are already finished with this entire book, and my 3rd grader is on his last week. So I'm excited. Nearing the end of the school year. But we have really, really loved that. And I don't know if I mentioned, but if you don't have a good cheap printer like I have a Brother laser printer that prints incredibly cheap, and I refill my own ink. And so if you don't have that, you can purchase the student manual from them if that bothers you, the fact that you don't want to download. You don't have to. I just find it really nice that I can download that, and use it 8, 9, 10 times, however many times I need. As long as I'm not sharing it with other people, they allow that. So I think that is incredibly awesome of them, just as in the Logic of English review, how they have the PDF format, and they do the same things. I love that when companies do that. But what you're doing with this grammar, the way it works, you are editing a story. This story is The Nose Tree. It's a lot like Pinocchio. It's different. It's actually, I kind of consider, more exciting than Pinocchio, but it has some of the same characteristics of Pinocchio with a nose growing and that kind of thing. So that's why it makes me think that. But they are editing 1 sentence per day. That is all. So it is not overwhelming. And as they edit it, they will write it over in its correct form into a composition notebook. And each day they're adding their sentence. By the end of the year, they have written the entire story and can read back through it. My sons, they knew they were writing a story, but they weren't really keeping up with it. They were just doing their work every day. And when my 4th grader, I did it again, my 5th grader, I'm trying to keep him young. When he finished his work the other day, I said, do you want to read back through it? He said, oh, I guess. And I said, come on, let's read it. Let's read your story. And we read through it, and he was all smiles at the end, and he said, wow, I didn't even realize I was writing something like that. That was good. So that was kind of funny that he didn't even realize it. So I don't think next year he'll do that. He'll probably be keeping up with every sentence, trying to find out the next plot in the story. And I probably should have pointed that out to him a little sooner. I thought I did, but anyway, he didn't remember. So that's just kind of funny. But let me show you the inside on week 1. This is the sort of the teacher's side. It will also be in the children's book. This page right here, you see how they've marked out their page, and these are my teacher's notes that will not be in their book. But it has what they need to learn. So they're learning to indent and what the symbol means to indent. Right now, they are marking the indentions for them. In a few more lessons, though, the kids will actually be writing that symbol and choosing, should I indent or not indent? And so they're learning for when you indent. Is it a new topic, a new speaker, a new place or time? So they're learning all that, and eventually they will mark their own indentions. And this week they are learning nouns, and there's some little tricks for finding nouns. Is it countable? Does an article come in front of it? Because articles point that a noun is coming. Then they're also learning homophones, and so not every sentence will have a homophone, but some will. And so when that happens, they'll list two choices, and the child is supposed to circle which one is correct. So they're also learning end marks, and then here tells you how to fix it. Read the sentence. Define the bolded vocabulary word. I'll get to that in a minute. Fix and mark the sentence. Discuss your work with your teacher and rewrite the sentence in another notebook. So in the student's book, they are going to have this sentence for the day one. Did you ever hear the story of the three poor soldiers? Poor is in bold. That means they are supposed to look that up in the dictionary. And they will find the best definition for this sentence. As often there are multiple choices for definitions for a word, and so they're going to find which one best fits this sentence, and they are going to write this word over in their notebook and put the correct definition beside it. So they're doing their vocabulary right along with this, and also I love just the kind of gradual, easy approach to learning to alphabetize, learning to look up words in alphabetical order. They've had many tears over that in the past as they would get to alphabetizing in their grammar book, and they would just have tons and tons of words to look up at one time. And when you're just learning to use a dictionary, that is overwhelming. But in this situation, it's just one word per day, so it doesn't seem like any big deal. And now they're great at looking up words, whereas at the beginning of the year, not so much. I had to help them a lot. So I really like that it's such a gradual approach, and they're learning their vocabulary right along with this. And they're just going to go through, and they are going to find all the nouns this week and write the end mark. They already, like I said, they already show where to indent for the beginning of the book. Later on, they'll indent themselves. So yeah, they just edit it and rewrite it over. Let me show you the student book. This is his work in his book. It has all 4 days. Get this to get clearer. Well, it has all 4 days though on one page. And up at the top, it reminds them, do your vocabulary word. Decide whether you're going to indent before you write your sentence over in your other book. Look for homophones. Check for capitals. They teach them the correct way to mark capitals, which is to underline the letter 3 times. That is the correct way to mark it. So I love that they're teaching them editing skills, which that can come in handy. You never know if they could be an editor someday, but even just in their own work, in writing stories in the future and that kind of thing, this could come in handy. It reminds them to look for end marks, quotation marks, apostrophes. Right now they're not actually having to put quotation marks around it. And also the parts of speech, the nouns, articles, pronouns, who, which, clauses, verbs, adjectives, ly adverbs, coordinating conjunctions, prepositional phrases. Right now they teach them preposition plus a noun and no verb. Later on they will teach them when a prepositional phrase might have a verb in it. They're also teaching them clause starters. So here's a little trick for them, learning the most common clause starters, which is when, while, where, as, since, if, although, because. And we call those our www.asia.b words. And that's a little trick to help them remember some of the common clause starters. So now keep in mind that I am showing you week 33. So what I just showed you here, where they were just marking nouns and end marks, that is week 1. But by the end of 33 weeks, they are marking all of this stuff. It happens so gradual, though, that it is very easy for them. And they don't really have any problem with it. Now, my third grader, he still marks a lot of stuff wrong, but we get opportunities to talk about it. And I don't think it's really an issue. If I had to, I could repeat this book with him next year. We're going to try to move on to the next book because I think, it just builds. And hey, once you've learned the parts of speech, it doesn't matter. He can just mark them in the next book. So I think that'll be fine. He does pretty well all in all, but my fifth and sixth grader, they do fabulous on this for sure. Um, they all really like it because literally this just takes them a few minutes. And we were supposed to not finish this until June because we got started late in our school year in 2015. And so we weren't going to be done until June. But they decided that this was so easy and they really didn't want to be doing school in June. They wanted to be out. The weather is nice. And so they, on their own, my sixth grader said, I'm just going to do a whole week of grammar in one day. If I do that, I'll be done in just X number of weeks. And so he's already finished. And, you just have to tell that to your other children, and there's a competition started. So now my fifth grader also decided to do the same thing. And my third grader wanted to, and he did a few times, but we decided that was too much for him. And I said, you know what? It's just one sentence a day. If you're doing that in June, who cares? But he actually still did work and do 2 days in one, and he is still now. This is the beginning of April, and this is his last week of grammar. He will be finished this week. So I think that's pretty incredible to go from crying over grammar to being able to get that much done that quickly and pretty much understanding it all. I really, really like this grammar program. Intend to continue using it next year and on. Some of the cons that I may not have mentioned yet is that the teacher's book is spiral bound, and so mine already shows where. I'm gonna pause this for a second. Okay, sorry about that. Had to get a crying baby. He's still gonna cry. No. Okay, I am so sorry. If you only knew how hard it is to do a video in a house with 8 children, they are never quiet all at one time. But we have really enjoyed using this. The cons, like I was saying, is the spiral bound. I don't love that because I already show some wear on my front cover. But, that's not the end of the world. And if I have to, I will take it out and put it in a 3-ring binder. I'm hoping I don't have to, but, it's a $20 book. I feel that if for $20 I taught only 3 children with it, I have saved a lot of money. But yeah, I intend to keep using it for all 8, and the cover might fall off. But if that's the worst con, that's not a big deal. Another thing to keep in mind, and I wouldn't really call it a con, but is that this is not enough as far as it does not teach writing skills. And when you think of a language arts program, you want to have a writing program and spelling along with it. And you could maybe count the vocabulary word in here as your spelling, but they're not necessarily all the common words. They're actually a lot of times words that are ones you wouldn't use as much. So I don't really want that to be my spelling. So yeah, you would not want another writing and spelling program, but that has not been a big deal for me because I never liked the writing programs that were with the other grammar curriculums that we used. So I have chosen to use the student writing intensive from Institute for Excellence in Writing. It is taught on a video. It goes through it in a fun way, and it makes it so much easier for my boys, especially, to learn to write stories. I don't know. I haven't taught a girl to that point. I have a daughter, but I'm not to the point of teaching her writing stories. But I know teaching boys, especially ADD boys, it is not easy to teach them writing, and they have done really well with this program and really liked it. So, like I said, it's not taught in this Fix It grammar book, but they do have a writing program to use along with this. They also have a spelling program that I have used, and I will probably try to do another video on each of those programs as well. So if you're interested in that. But yeah, as long as it doesn't bother you that it doesn't have those things in this, I think you would love the Fix It Grammar too. And I hope you'll give it a try. Ask me any questions you may have down in the comments. I'm sure I probably forgot to mention something, so please do ask. And if you want to purchase it for yourself, I'm not getting any kind of payback for this or anything like that, other than the fact that they did give me this book for me to do a review. But if you'd like to purchase it for yourself, it's iew.com, and I hope you'll give it a try. Thanks.